to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. It appears that young Caroline Dubois has been made full lightweight world champion after Katie Taylor vacates her WBC lightweight title. We knew this was coming. We knew that Katie Taylor's days as a lightweight are done. Caroline Dubois has been elevated to full WBC lightweight world champion after Katie Taylor vacated the belt. Dubois became interim champion with a UD points win over Maida Moneo in August and had since called for a bout with Taylor for the title. But the Irish legend's decision to vacate means Dubois inherits the belt and will make her first defense on January 11th, her 24th birthday, against Canada's own former world title challenger and current reigning WBA regular champion Jessica Camara in Sheffield, live on Sky. Sky in the UK, Peacock if you're in America. Caroline was presented with the belt by the World Boxing Council President Mauricio Suleiman at the governing body's annual convention in Hamburg on Thursday.
That says Wednesday.
Shut up. Caroline Dubois said, "It is a great honor to be elevated to full World Boxing Council champion and to have WBC President Mauricio Suleiman present me with the belt. It's always been my dream to become world champion, and this is just the start of the journey for me. I look forward to defending my World Boxing Council title on January 11th in Sheffield. Since turning pro after competing at the Tokyo Olympics, Dubois amassed a 10-0 professional record with 5 knockout wins." What you need to know. Jessica Camara, who she's about to fight, is the WBA's regular champion. That means that if Katie Taylor vacates the WBA title like she just vacated the WBC, Jessica will be elevated to full champion like Caroline was just elevated to full champion. And the fight between them could be for 2 major titles, not just one. But more than titles, what Caroline Dubois needs are fights. What she needs are high-profile opponents, high-profile victories. And thus, if Katie Taylor's not coming back to lightweight, what's the most high-profile fight that Caroline Dubois can have? I would say it's a Terry Harper fight. Terry Harper reigns as WBO champion at this same weight, and she's been around a long time, won some fights, lost some fights. The fight with the most profile would be a Terry Harper fight, but the best fight, that's different, and the most dangerous, would be a Beatriz Ferreira fight. Beatriz Ferreira, who's going to be in action this weekend in Monte Carlo against France's own Licia Budersa. If you want to know what the best fight the lightweight division has to offer is, it's a fight between Caroline and Beatriz. Caroline, who is the young sister of IBF heavyweight world champion Daniel Dubois, has barely been troubled so far in the pro ranks, but former world title challenger Jessica Camara could provide one of her sternest tests yet. Not as stern as Beatriz could, though. Yeah, Beatriz is dangerous. Dubois' promoter, Ben Shalom, said, "We would like to thank the WBC President Mauricio Suleiman and the Board of Governors for upgrading Caroline. The World Boxing Council Limelight title is active again, and in Caroline, the WBC has a champion who can rule for many years to come. We are only just starting to see her true potential. We believe Caroline will become the future face of women's boxing. It is a distinct possibility, as there are not many girls out there that are as talented as young Caroline. Carolina. Save one. Save Beatriz Ferreira. Beatriz is dangerous for all the same reasons that Caroline is dangerous. The speed, the power, the combinations, the athleticism, the movement. These are 2 fighters that bring a whole lot to the table. And I dare say that at least momentarily, Beatriz packs a bigger punch than Caroline. And that's saying a lot because Caroline can punch. Outside of Beatriz Ferreira, there are not any girls at this weight, at this time, that I would pick to beat Caroline Dubois. There just ain't. So when Ben Shalom says that Caroline has all the ingredients to reign as WBC champion for a very long time, he's right. But more than just being a champion, and more than picking up titles, she needs fights. High-profile fights. A part of the reason that Katie Taylor was able to do as well as she did is because she was able to get the fights. That's what'll make her the face, or what won't. Her ability or inability to get the fights. Now, of course, in her next outing, next month, a highlight reel knockout over Jessica Camara, potentially, could lend itself to Caroline's profile, because if casuals love anything, they love knockouts. And Jessica's been knocked out before by less talented fighters
than Carolyn Dubois.
Crowning a star in the sport of boxing is not an exact science. If it were, every manager and every promoter would replicate that success.
It's not easy, and it's not an exact science. The one thing I know is that more than anything, more than just belts, she needs fights.
And the performance is to boot. I do feel that Caroline has some of the ingredients to become the next face of women's boxing in the next generation, but it might be a bit difficult because some of the belts are on other sides of the street, some of the fighters.
This is what she wanted, though. She wanted the WBC title, and now she's got it. Congratulations to her!
As she steps into her maiden title defense as WBC champion. Elsewhere in the world of boxing, you may have heard that Floyd Mayweather was reportedly assaulted while in London doing some shopping. Thereafter, he took to his own social media and stated, "Let me set the record straight. There's no truth to the rumors going around. I wasn't punched or touched in any way. What you are seeing is just my security doing their job to keep things under control. I was in the UK for a quick 48-hour stop to do some shopping, and unfortunately, people let jealousy and negativity fuel false stories. I'm perfectly fine, and there's really nothing more to it. Wouldn't go that far. There's something to be said about someone of Floyd Mayweather's stature being treated the way that he was in London, whether they actually got to put hands on him or not, that he wasn't well received. I've always said that for as accomplished as Floyd Mayweather was, he is not beloved. He is not respected in all the same ways that, say, Muhammad Ali was beloved and respected, or Mike Tyson still is beloved and respected.
Floyd, I'll knock you out!
A part of the reason for it is that Floyd Mayweather in his prime, in his heyday, achieved notoriety by ruffling people's feathers, by being the bad guy. So when you achieve that much success for it, that's the byproduct. People don't really like you.
But that's not all.
A guy who goes by the name Sherry Abbasi stated, "When you sell your soul for a few dollars and choose to support the people carrying out a genocide publicly and continue to kiss their ass for more money, expect the members of the public who have eyes, ears, and a heart to call you out and not allow you a moment of peace. Well deserved." It would seem that Floyd's sympathy and sentiments for Israel is a part of what fueled yesterday's attack. If it was an attack, if nothing else, he wasn't well received. Unbeknownst to Floyd, there is a strong Islamic contingent in London. So after you've expressed your sympathy and sentiments towards Israel,
You made yourself some enemies.
and you were not so beloved as a boxer in your prime that it allows you amnesty in your retirement. Between the people that already didn't like Floyd for one reason or another. Maybe it was the domestic abuse charges, or maybe it's just the way that he went about fighting a fight, that he was a safety-first defensive fighter, at least towards the tail end of his career. And now this.
Free Pakistan!
It's Palestine.
Free Palestine!
I'm not going to get political or tell any one of you to choose a side. All I see is that Floyd Mayweather is not so beloved that he is granted amnesty, immunity from his political sentiments.
Anti-Semitism is rampant in today's geopolitical climate.
And it galvanizes people for better or worse. So when you're a Floyd Mayweather and you made your bones, you made your money as a heel, you made your money being the bad guy, the guy that some people don't like.
So they still see you as a money-hungry sellout who's willing to support a genocide.
There are boxers who are perceived as standing for something more, something greater than just sport and achievements in it, something greater than boxing. Muhammad Ali was such a fighter. I think Mike Tyson, to a lesser extent, you could say the same about him. They represent something.
Bear in mind that Muhammad or Mike, they had their respective faiths and what they believed in, but are still revered and beloved throughout the world. For the most part, they are.
For what they represent. I can still go back and watch a Muhammad Ali interview and get goosebumps while watching it because of who he was and what he meant to a lot of people. And with Mike is an iconoclast, a living legend.
Floyd isn't?
Maybe in his own mind he is, but I've always filed Floyd under a separate category to those fighters like Muhammad and Mike and Roberto Duran, Sugar Ray Leonard. They didn't have perfect records like he did. They don't have unblemished records.
Julio Cesar Chavez.
They weren't perfect or perfectionists like Floyd, yet for some reason it feels like they are more revered and highly regarded, beloved, in spite of their imperfections, whereas Floyd, you're not guaranteed adulation because you never lost.
Maybe it's the difference between one of those BBLs and a homegrown ass.
Whether it's Nicki Minaj's ass or Cardi B's ass.
BBLs.
To some people, Chloe Bailey's ass might look nicer, even though it's smaller.
What?
These other fighters, these other legends, they might not be perfect, but they're more highly regarded than Floyd. More respected, to the point where they can walk down the street.
When I see that after all these years, a mob can try to assail Floyd and assault him the way they would anybody else, what that indicates to me is there's no barrier, there's no respect there.
No reverence, because he does not appear larger than life. He just appears a greedy little man.
Ass.
It's unfortunate because he really was the best of his era, but maybe the mistake on Floyd's end is thinking that made you better than everybody else, that you were in the best era of boxing. No, you were the best of your era, but not the best overall.
And the politics?
Well, politics never make for good table talk, especially these days when politics are tantamount to religion.
Titties.
Just is what it is. When you make your bones for being a bad guy, don't be surprised when people still see you through that lens, many years after you've stopped playing that character, if you have in fact stopped.
And if it was a character.
And that's not who you really are underneath it all.
Titties.
And finally, in men's welterweight news, talks are absolutely underway to match Teofimo Jr. with Jaron Ennis, according to Top Rank's Carl Morretti.
Why are you yelling?
Hamburg, Germany. The news that talks were underway to pair Teofimo Lopez Jr. and Jaron Boots Ennis created a huge surge of excitement. Ennis is seen as the best talent at 147, while the 27-year-old Teofimo Lopez has been undisputed at 35.
No, he hasn't.
And at 140.
No, he hasn't.
Who wrote this article claiming that Teofimo is a two-time undisputed champion?
Tris Dixon.
Get it together, Tris. Both are looking for big name dance partners, and that has taken them to each other. It's a fight Carl Morretti likes, and it could happen as early as March.
Why would anybody claim that Teofimo's a two-time undisputed champion? Do you understand how monumental an achievement that is? He didn't do that. He was not undisputed at lightweight.
When he fought and beat Vasyl Lomachenko, Devin Haney was the reigning WBC champion, world champion. He had the version of the title that you need to become an undisputed champion, the one that you can unify. All Teofimo got was a franchise designation. He was never undisputed at 135, and he really wasn't undisputed at 140. Only one from Josh Taylor was the Ring Magazine and WBO titles. By the time he fights Josh Taylor, the other belts went elsewhere.
Get it together, Tris.
Yeah, I do. I don't know if it will happen, said Carl Morretti, Top Rank's vice president of boxing operations. It's too early to tell, but it's an interesting fight. Teofimo wanted the biggest name at 135, Vasyl Lomachenko, and you saw what he did there. He wanted the biggest name at 140, and you saw what he did there. If Boots will do it, Lopez wants the biggest name at 147, so we will see. After a dull fight with Jermaine Ortiz earlier in February, Lopez posted a listless victory over Steve Claggett. In June, Top Rank hoped the tough Claggett would bring out the best in Lopez, but Morretti said it's the idea of a challenge that will inspire the best in Lopez. It's more so he wants to be up for fights. He needs a challenge, Morretti explained. I don't know how many guys at 140 he considers a challenge, a threat. He views Boots as a true world champion and the best in the division, so that will get him up for the fight. Could Morretti confirm that talks with Matchroom and his promoter are underway?
Absolutely.
Were the talks going well?
We're still talking.
This fight is being approached with a lot of enthusiasm and simultaneously skepticism from the skeptics in some quarters who are not convinced that you can go from laboring with a domestic level fighter like a Steve Claggett to a naturally bigger, stronger, unbeaten world champion in Jaron Boots Ennis. You labored with Jermaine Ortiz, you labored with Steve Claggett, and now you want us to believe that your first fight of a welterweight campaign is going to be the most dangerous fight that you can take on. For a perspective, When Teofimo moved up to 140 pounds, he didn't jump into the deep end right away. He fought Pedro Campos,
A journeyman. Then he stepped it up a little bit with Spain's own former EBU champion, Sandor Martin. But he didn't jump into the deep end right away. You didn't jump into the deep end right away at 140, but you want us to believe you're about to do that at 147.
Hard to conjure. While you're calling for fights with several fighters that are separated by weight, you're calling out Gervonta Davis, who's at 135. You're calling out Boots Ennis for a fight at 147 and simultaneously calling out Terrence Crawford at 154. Looks like you're just throwing shit at a wall, hoping something sticks.
To me, it looks like you just want to keep people talking about you while you're not fighting, so you create this stir. But Carl Morretti says that talks are happening, they are underway, so how do you reconcile that?
Said it in my previous video. Teofimo says he wants the fight. And on that premise, Carl and Todd and Bob are willing to let him have it.
But does he really want it?
So what could cause this fight to fall apart if Teofimo's expressed interest is not genuine? Money almost immediately comes to mind. Money is usually what holds up a boxing match. If there's a stalemate and there's no progress, usually money is the holdup. But they did say that Top Rank would cover Teofimo's guarantee, and Matchroom could cover Boots's, so that should take care of that, theoretically.
Then what else could hold up this fight if it's not money?
Wait. I remember several months ago, while Teofimo Lopez was calling out Terrence Crawford, or pretending to, he proposed that they fight at a catchweight, knowing that Terrence was all but done at 147, knowing that Terrence was en route to 154, he proposed that they fight at a catchweight. And that communicated to me that you can't be serious about fighting Terrence. So what I'm expecting now is for talks of a catchweight to surface, a catchweight for this fight, and that might be what holds it up. That if Teofimo was just talking out of the side of his mouth about a fight he didn't actually expect to land, about a fight he didn't expect Top Rank to let him have, if he paints himself into a corner, one way out of it is to play with the weight. You start talking about some 143 or 144, Team Ennis might not go for that because Jaron Ennis is a very big welterweight. You want to fight for a welterweight title? Fight at the welterweight limit.
That's another thing that could hold up this fight.
It's very hard to trust that Teofimo is being serious about all of this when it's so counterintuitive.
I don't see a way for him to beat Jaron Ennis, and I've said that already.
But if he's being serious, if he's being genuine, it's a story that only time can tell. That should this fight fall apart for any reason
On Teofimo's side, well, that's what a lot of people are expecting. That's what I'm expecting.